The rain is already arriving, but the worst is still hours away. We're tracking a powerful storm that could interfere with your weekend plans.
This is KBOI 2 News, first at 4.
Well, here's a live look outside from downtown Boise. A little gloomy out there on this Thursday afternoon. Well, get used to it because it's going to look like this for a few more days. Several storms are lined up to hit the Northwest.
The first one already moved in this evening. Chief Meteorologist Roland Stedham is tracking the storms for us. Scott Logan shows us how the next few days are going to be especially rough for people in Oregon and Washington State. But first, Morgan Wagner looks at the potential for landslides in our area.
Drivers headed up to Highway 55 this weekend will not only need to bring their umbrellas and their rain jackets, they'll need to look out for potential hazards. Road managers say these highways have very steep terrain, and with all the fires we've had recently, the potential rock slides only rise. Transportation crews are on the lookout this weekend for potential dangers on some of Idaho's busiest highways.
There is always the potential when there is rain in the mountains for mudslides or rock slides. In southwest Idaho, we would certainly be concerned about all of our roadways, mountain roadways. We're talking about Idaho 55, the road to McCall, and Highway 16, even moving up to the Emmett area, as well as Highway 21.
ITD will be checking weather updates hourly, and they'll adjust schedules if needed. But spokesman Jennifer Gonzalez says drivers still need to remember to drive for the conditions and to call 911 if they see any large rocks in the middle of the road.
And certainly reminding drivers that with the changing seasons, it's a time to slow down and pay attention when you're out on the roads.
The rain could also impact people who like to walk and hike in the foothills. Trail managers say if you notice a trail is getting muddy, please do not use it. But they add there will be no temporary closures over the weekend. Boise city leaders say it's unclear how this rain will affect the sliding homes up on Alto Via, but they say fire and police crews will continue to watch that area throughout the weekend. Live in Eagle, Morgan Wagner, KBOI 2 News.
Now, the National Weather Service has issued a flash flood watch for parts of Boise and Valley counties near the Pioneer Fire burn scar. The fire burned roughly 188,000 acres since July. The Boise National Forest is urging people recreating in the area to be extremely cautious.
Now, the storms that are headed in our direction are expected to hit the West Coast hard. KBOI2 Scott Logan has been monitoring the situation in Oregon and Washington and shows us how they're preparing. As a matter of fact, Scott, some of these people are saying that these storms may be the strongest that we've had since the devastating Columbus Day storm back in '62.
Well, let's hope not, but the Pacific Northwest is bracing for high winds and rain. Some outages have already been reported, and people are taking action now rather than waiting until later. Utility crews in Seattle are worried the high winds could cause some serious damage. They've been pruning trees back from more than 600 miles of power lines. There's another concern with October windstorms. The tree limbs that died over the warm summer, they're still in the trees.
This is Mother Nature's pruning season where, winds like this are going to take those branches down. And when they do come down, there's always the risk of them falling into power lines.
If those storms prove to be powerful, ferries aren't taking any chances either. They're going to load fewer cars in order to keep their boats lighter in choppier waters. In southern Washington, just outside of Portland, preps are underway to prevent damage and flooding. Check out one of the many sandbagging stations that have popped up as homeowners prepare for heavy rain.
This is the time of year where it impacts the hardest because all the leaves are still on the trees. And when those leaves start coming off, they start plugging up the basins.
Oregon transportation leaders are urging everyone to drive carefully and to expect power outages in the days ahead. Live in the Satellite Center, Scott Logan, KBOI 2 News.
Thanks, Scott. Now let's talk a little bit more about that storm back in '62. It was actually a parade of storms. The storms began as Typhoon Frida and took over a week to get across the Pacific. And then it raced up the coast, packing winds so strong it knocked some homes off their foundations. Millions of people from San Francisco to British Columbia lost power for weeks, and more than 40 people died.
Well, Roland is tracking the latest storms for us right now.
And it looks like we're getting a little rain right now outside.
Yes, we are. We're going to be seeing these waves of moisture. I want to emphasize, Brent and Natalie, as you look at that video, what they're doing, what they're prepping for in the Pacific Northwest. By the time the storms make their way into the Treasure Valley and throughout much of the Gem State, they are going to be significantly weaker. However, they will continue to generate periods of rain on again, off again through the weekend. Here's the next low pressure system, and already a wet pattern is setting up. The first initial wave of moisture has started moving into the Treasure Valley this evening, but here's what the computer models are showing is going to take place over the next 48 hours. Look at this swath of rain through Saturday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. McCall, the computer models estimating about 1.25 inches, but here in and around the burn scar of the Lowman and Pioneer Fire area, what we're seeing is about 2 to 2.5 inches of rain possible in the Treasure Valley itself. Probably about 0.2 to 1/4 inch of rain. So it's not going to be nearly as significant for us as it is going to be in the mountains to the north of us. And that's why the flash flood watch is in effect from tonight through Sunday for possible mudslides, especially in and around the burn scar of the Pioneer Fire. Look at the Doppler radar showing already the next wave of moisture that's getting ready to move in. So periods of rain are in the forecast for us tonight and again tomorrow, with overnight lows dropping down to about 51 degrees. The high temperatures tomorrow getting up to 60 degrees. I'll show you all about the next storms on the way with the 7-day forecast coming up in just a few.
And for weather updates, go to KBOI2.com or like us on Facebook. Tonight, Roland Stedham will do a forecast update on Facebook Live. Join the conversation by tuning in and asking Roland how the weather will affect you right from the palm of your hand.